I think that my personality could never really work in a corporate environment. Like, there's just too many structures that I don't have the ability to really impact and to change. You just have to look back on where you are and zoom out and think, where do I want to go? My name is Eugene Kan. I'm the editor-in-chief and co-founder of MAEKAN, as well as the co-founder of Atom Studios. MAEKAN is a global creative culture publication based in Hong Kong. I think that we're currently in a very complex world, and trying to demystify that for our audience is really important to us. I was originally born and raised in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, which is kind of a long ways from Hong Kong. I grew up in a small town called Fort Saskatchewan, and I moved to Hong Kong around 2006, and I've been here ever since. The things I was really interested in and passionate about ended up being things that happened in Hong Kong, and it set me up for my sort of the next chapters of my life. I joined Hypebeast in, I think, March of 2007 as like a freelance writer. Some of my best days were spent at Hypebeast for sure. That was at a time when the internet was sort of bubbling up. It didn't really know what its future was because there was no playbook, right? It was like all of a sudden publishing is put in the hands of anybody and everybody. I think looking back, the one thing that's most fascinating too is that when I started, everything we talked about was very much a subculture. And then if you look at it now, it's all part of popular culture. But when I started Hypebeast, it was literally 4 of us. And obviously, if you look at it now, it's leaps and bounds. It's massive. And it's been crazy to be part of that story in some capacity. I think that's one of the most difficult things is understanding that jobs today like really define who you are from an identity perspective. And it did very much define me for a while. I think whenever you set off into your own thing, the biggest challenges are probably psychological. I think you're leaving a place that had a previous measuring stick, right? So you're trying to think, oh, can I recreate this? Can I be as successful as the past? And it's honestly tough. But at the same time, I kind of had to realize that if I wanted to create something for myself, really assume my own identity, then I had to kind of step away and try to explore something else. Alex and I have always been people that live more so on the edges because we think the middle is sort of this consolidation that we don't find as interesting, but we wanted something new. We wanted to kind of revive that passion for storytelling. Subcultures to us were really fascinating because here they were soon to define popular culture, but at the same time, they didn't necessarily have a voice. They didn't necessarily have media platforms that were covering them or helping them tell their story. And that was, in many ways, a catalyst for MAEKAN. We just wanted to step out and have a point of view that we could introduce that wasn't, supported by a brand or supported by a publishing company. One thing that MAEKAN has afforded me is a lot of freedom. It's freedom to create, freedom to define what I think is the direction of the company. I think exploration, play, all that stuff are critical for you to create great work because otherwise you just get stuck in this rut where your everyday agenda is generally the same. You can't really deviate and have these sort of moments of discovery. You're not on the same path as someone else who's more successful than you. There's always going to be someone more successful, but in the age of social media, it's so easy to be referential to the world around us. And if we can remove ourselves from that game, then things become infinitely easier because you just recognize you're on your own path, you have your own process, and if you learn to love the process, the outcome itself is actually far more valuable. I don't think I would have ever thought of it playing out this way. And here we are 4 or 5 years later, like still working together, still having fun hanging out. And I think that's something that you can't really put a price on.